Man, let's get rocking. What's going on? This is Travis Witherspoon from Carter Cow Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the forex market. I have 928. The market's about to open up in 2 minutes, and super excited to be able to talk to everybody about what's going on in the markets and everything else that is happening at this particular point in time. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and go through the disclaimer because at 9:30 the market kind of moves a little bit rapidly, so I want to make sure I can be able to answer every question as fast as possible. I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from that education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. I understand that trading involves risk, involves risk of being able to make money, also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind and understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not promised that you're going to end up making money today. So with that being said, showing myself on the screen for the first time. Hopefully everybody's doing very well. Uh, let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening with the overall charts. I go to the economic calendar very quickly because obviously the market is about to open up when it comes down to stocks and everything else like that. So we kind of have a good chance of being able to see what's happening, guys. My sons, like always, end up screaming in the background. Um, Today, like I ended up talking about yesterday, the news was based on what's happening with the Eurozone in Germany and a little bit of Britain. We ended up seeing that the BME composite manufacturing PMIs and composite PMIs are actually good, but they're still below 50, which means that the market is still kind of in a recession when it comes down to that news. You take a look at what's happening with the pound, the S&P Global CPI, CIPS services PMI ends up being over 52. So we'll see how that kind of affects the market and what's actually happening with that overall market. But overall, my biggest focus is what we ended up talking about yesterday when it came down to the trades that we end up taking overall. And if you end up taking those trades yesterday, then quite frankly, you should be very happy based off of those movements. We end up talking about what happened with the Dow Jones and US 30 and how we end up taking a look at a trade that was at 33 350. I mean 33 35. Sorry, for being able to take a sale. Wanted to be able to take it all the way down for the first take profit at 3,300, and then the second take profit at 32,880. If you end up getting into that trade, quite frankly, if you have the automation systems that we have, you should have got hit with the trail stop. I mean, you should have got hit with the take profit point. You would have got triggered out when it came down to this trade. Now, what's happening, and we're on the last leg of this overall move. We're in this little small pocket of a high volume, of a medium volume node. I'm not going to call it a high volume node, where um, the market is at the support. And if you take a look at what's happening with this overall move, if you were to be able to take a sale right around 33,011, you might be able to get in and be able to go after the last 200 points when it comes down to that move. Now, going back to what I ended up talking about before, this is kind of one of those situations to where if you end up deciding to be able to take a sale like this is at the end of the move. This is not the beginning of the move, which means that you cannot risk as much as you end up doing before. Um, this is one of those times, kind of like what's happening right now. I honestly hope that the market actually pushes up to the upside because the move's already been made. We already done made the money off of this move. I don't want to get stuck in and kind of get placed inside of a move, kind of like what I ended up saying yesterday, where you end up getting triggered out of it, and then quite frankly, you can't make anything off of it because of the movement from right there. So 33,011 will end up being the area where I want to get placed in. Currently, right now, it's at 32,015 and going up a little bit higher from there. I don't personally want to get triggered into a trade and then automatically turn into a loss just because it's done hit support and then done popped up out of that area. So I'm probably going to end up waiting to see what happens with this move. Like I said, I already done canceled out of this trade earlier yesterday. Big mover for us overall, so happy about that. But this is not the time to sit up there and be chasing trades. Chasing trades only get you bad situations, and at this particular point, we already done made the money off of this move. There's no reason to sit up there and try to chase something that is probably not going to be there anymore because the move has already done been made. And if you look at it, this is more of a head and shoulders pattern going to the upside. So I will almost bank on more people trying to buy it based off of what I'm looking at with the head and shoulders pattern compared to anything else when it comes down to that move. Now, uh, in this case, the head and shoulders pattern will end up being away from the direction of where I think the move actually will be. So there goes your head, there goes your neckline. If it goes right here, if it breaks to the upside, then after that you have a trade to the upside. For the people that like being able to scout the market to the upside, I would say look at being able to place an order at 33,170. If you end up getting in at 33,170, then after that, from a 15-minute perspective, the first and quick and easiest scout will end up being up to 32,210, and then after that, try to ride it all the way back up to 33,730. But I don't think that it's going to end up reaching that high when it comes down to that move. So a couple things. One, this is the time to be patient, time to be able to kind of look away and just say, okay, let's see what happens. Is this market going to stay inside of this consolidation? Is it going to break out? What's going to end up being the case with that? And then from there, kind of evaluate and kind of make your trade after that fact. But I would not look at being able to chase a sale at this particular point unless the market ends up bouncing up to the upside and then after that falling down again and then breaking down to the downside when it comes down to that move. Everyone give me one quick second. Okay, so that is US 30. We end up doing that. We also end up making money off of DAX. For the people that end up making money off of DAX in this move on Friday and off of this move that we end up talking about yesterday, once again, congratulations. This was a big time move to the downside. Quite frankly, hit it, really made the money in literally 2 days when it came down to the movement. Um, and you're talking about from here all the way down to where we end up getting out, about 300 points when it came down to that overall movement in that span. And now we see that the market is starting to consolidate again. My automation system actually tried to be able to catch a sale, but once again, I tried to catch another sale and I quickly ended up getting out of that. Um, Z Trader, what's going on? Hope everything's going well with you. If you have a pair, go ahead and post it out real quick. And we'll talk about it. But end up making a movement from there. Now, once again, we had that free run area. That's what we end up talking about, being able to get out once the high volume node ends up ending and basically taking advantage of the low volume node potential space. And that's what we end up doing. Currently, right now, we see that the market is starting to build up that consolidation again. That's exactly what we want to be able to see. Now, this support will end up being right here because we end up having common supports in that area. The resistance will end up being the top of this overall movement. I am not in a rush to be able to take any type of trade until it actually ends up proving that it's ready to break out of this consolidation area. Remember, this market was in consolidation for over 9 days before it ended up breaking out. So we didn't take a trade in over 9 days until the market ended up breaking out up there and breaking out down there and breaking out right there. There's no reason to fight inside of consolidation. It's a 33% trade. No one wants to be able to take a 33% chance on being able to win money. Let's take a 70 or 80% chance of being able to win money when it comes down to this movement. So currently, right now, what I'll end up saying is this: is the question would be, is the market ready to truly be able to fall and start to fall back inside of this major consolidation that we had previously before? That answer is still up to be determined. But the next sale trade that I have that I'll be interested in being able to get into will end up being at 13,150 to be able to see this market actually start to be able to fall back to the previous consolidation points that they end up having all the way down here, where I would get out at 12,860 or 12,870. So I am kind of looking at it from that end. Zarek, what's going on? Hope everything's going well. Watching Nas today. I'm going to take a look at that. That'll be the next chart that I'm going to take a look at in a quick second. I got placed inside of Nas is inside of a consolidation box. My system is showing a consolidation box. It ended up taking some breakout sales, but really there wasn't that much of a move, at least at this point. And to be honest, I really don't expect that much of a move today. The move really happened yesterday, and the move really happened on Friday. So we have that big break point that we look for. So currently, right now, we're just kind of building up and getting ready for the next trade. But currently, right now, here's the natural support. Natural support is at 13,180. That would be the area where I would look at being able to place on a sale. The buy trade, if I was to look at being able to get into a buy trade, wouldn't wouldn't even happen until 13,300. So that's where we're at when it comes down to this movement. So 13,180, 13,300 will end up being the areas where I will end up paying attention to when the market ends up breaking out of those areas. Then after that, we can start considering being able to trade back up in this freeway space. Trying to turn 250 into 1,000 by the end of the week. You can be able to do that, obviously, with good equity management, but you got to be able to control. You have to be able to control your overall control your win, the first win that you end up having. Your first win has to be a big one. And then after that, you have to make sure that that turns into a break even win. And then make sure that you end up placing that in the cash so you can be able to use that equity to be able to get the rest of them. But I'm not saying that it can't be done because I have done it before. Um, but at the same time, it's going to take a little bit of due diligence, and you need the right pocket. And currently, right now, I don't see a great pocket to be able to do it today. You might have been able to do it yesterday, but I don't see a great pocket to do it today. Um, so let's go through and let's talk about what we end up doing based off of Nas. Nas, we had a few trades that we was interested in being able to take, and legitimately we end up catching one at 12,280. Cashed out on that one at 13,185 when it first fell down. Hit on that one. This was the move that we end up talking about on Friday, where we end up having a sale at 13,300 with our stop loss above 13,427. Cashed out on that trade earlier yesterday as well when it ended up hitting 13,060. Currently, right now, same deal. The market is kind of building up on that overall move. So I can get rid of this. We had our slight consolidation. We end up having our major free run. We end up having our major free run from here to here. Currently, right now, once again, we're building up on consolidation. Remember, consolidation can end up being every bit one day to, unlike the last time we ended up taking a look at it, end up being about 9 days on DAX. So depending on the situation, it may end up being a little bit longer over time. So currently, right now, we're not worried about that. Hey, what are you doing? I'm just finding up. No, better go eat your cereal. Go eat your cereal. So current moves that I would look at, current moves that I would consider, because all of these are showing head and shoulders patterns. I don't know if you notice it, but if you take a look at what's happening with Nas, take a look at what's happening with US 30, take a look at what's happening with German 40. All of them are showing head and shoulders patterns in their own little weird way. They're all showing that, which means that could be a reversal that could happen at least for a little bit of time before they actually break out. The one that has the biggest pocket on that reversal, if it was to turn around and be able to go up, would be German 40. The one that has the biggest downside move that I would be interested in still will probably end up still being US 30. But US 30 will have to break below 33.11 before being able to go after that last move at 32.860. 32.860 will be the area where I'll look to be able to sell. But once again, I'm kind of hoping that we end up building up on this consolidation a little bit more so you don't get faked out on this first trade if the market does fall down, because I have to break the head to truly break the head and shoulders pattern. We can see that sellers are basically getting rid of this buy movement right here. So this would be one of those situations to where if it breaks below today, if it, baby, bye. No, baby. I'm not say hey. Just say hey. Ooh, no, say excuse me first. Say excuse me. Say excuse me. All right. See you later. Bye bye. Okay. Bye bye. Okay. You said hey. Bye bye. Okay. Everybody, give me a second. Okay, so if this market was to break below 33,011, one, I'm going to say it'll probably be a false break. The reason why I think it'll probably be a false break is because of 15 minutes in the buy zone, which means that we'll probably see an hour worth of at least buy movement that will end up happening over the course of the next over the course of the next 2.5 hours. So I think that will probably end up happening. If it does break to the downside, then that means that I would have to lower my risk percentage on what I would end up getting in with, because I wouldn't be interested in being able to do a 5% trade on this move just based off of where it is. Um, Solely because the market has already moved 600 points to the downside. Not saying that it won't move anymore. It just means that I wouldn't be interested in being able to risk a lot on this move, because I think that there is a better chance of it at least being able to retrace first before being able to make the move. Now, um, obviously, the take profit would still be at 32,880 for the people that are still being able to get into that trade. My stop loss will have to be above 33,102, just based off of where it is and just based off of where it's located, because that's where the wick high is. I am going to end up placing in the trade, but I'm going to go with one very small micro lot. I'm not trying to get pushed out on this move. So market end up breaking below 33,011. I end up getting placed in at 33,011. My stop loss on this one will end up being at 33,110. And my exit point will end up being at 32,880. Now, once again, I would not look at being able to risk a lot on this overall trade. The reason why I would not look at being able to risk a lot on this overall trade is because we're pretty much at the end of the move. The move has already done happened. So right now, what we're going after is fluff, if I'm just being honest. But there it is right there. I want to see what's happening with Nas. Nas has already done made his move to the downside. Let's see where Nas could potentially go. I think Nas has a little bit more room to be able to go. Come on, hurry up. I actually like Nas move a little bit better than US 30's move, but I'm seeing that it's starting to push up a little bit. Let's see. It's basically at the area where we could be able to place in a trade though. So let's see. Go back to the hour. Where could it potentially go? Okay. Exit area will be at 12,580. 12,580, about 300 points from here. 12,580 would end up being that point if it does happen. Let's see. 12,580 would end up being take profit. If you want to be safe, I got 640. Okay, I'm gonna say 12,600. And if it breaks through the head, then what happens on that would be I would just look at being able to trade it back up to the actual distance where it end up going back up. The market gives you the free run area. So if that happens, basically what is done to happen, I'm gonna draw this out real quick because I haven't drew this out in a while. But pushed up, went sideways, pushed up, went sideways, pushed up, went sideways, pushed up, went sideways, pushed down, went sideways, pushed up, went sideways, pushed up, went sideways, pushed down, went sideways, pushed down, went sideways, pushed down again, now going sideways. If it goes up, all it's going to do is just basically go back into this area where it end up pushing back up, which would be probably about right here, then go sideways again. And then from there, it may end up pushing back down. And if it breaks below this, then you will have a bigger move down to here. So the sale to the downside will end up being the bigger move. We can already see that the trend is to the downside, so let's use that to our advantage. I would go with a larger lot size to the downside compared to going to the upside. Now, if we look at what's happening with US 30, that's the reason why I would end up going with a lower lot size. You can see that it's already done broke back inside of here. I would consider that to be a false break. I'm going to go ahead. I would look at this go ahead and exiting off of that trade. If it closes like that within the next 5 minutes. If it stays above in the next 5 minutes, then I'm not willing to give up that much off of this move just because we've already done made the money off of this move. Now I'm only giving up $100, and of course it's just $100, but for some people that may end up being a big part of their account. Currently, right now, down 45. Let's see. And give it a second. To be honest, I would rather it build up in consolidation over the course of the next couple of days and get a better trade than try to chase it. And that's just me being perfectly honest when it comes down to that. See, 915, where is it? Let's see. I'll come back to that one. I can see that on the top of my chart. If it gets above 60, then I'm going to get out. And if it gets above 60, then I'm not gonna waste any time on that. Let's see, 15 minute on Nas. Okay, good. Big explosive move. Typically, what you end up seeing with that is that US 30 will probably run right behind it when it comes down to that movement. So we end up going from there. So what has happened is that okay, I'm out on US 30. I'll take that loss. All right. So what has happened on on Nas is this. It's actually done giving you a more defined area about where the support actually is. So now what we can be able to do is just adjust our overall area to where we can be able to say that this is our new support and our new level where we need to look at being able to get out. You want to be even more comfortable, you can end up saying where the actual head of the position actually was when it comes down to that movement. I do kind of expect that the market may end up breaking. Either it's going to break out of this area and try to go out to 13,070, or it's going to end up remaining to be in this consolidation. If it remains to be in that consolidation, then we have a good trade to start kind of building for when it does break. If not, then we'll just wait. Let's see what's happening with DAX. DAX stayed inside of consolidation. Keep it down, baby. Go get some tissue. Go get some tissue to wipe your hands. DAX stayed inside of consolidation, so there's no trade there. We can see that US 30 has went inside of consolidation and stayed inside and started to build out that. So I'm going to move this down, and that will be my area where I would look at being able to get into the next sell trade. That'll probably be below 33,000 at this particular point, which is fine. And we can see that Nas is starting to push up toward the resistance when it comes down to that movement.
Daddy, I want to watch a tornado.
Watch it on your tablet, baby. On your tablet. Go. Go ahead. Okay, so if you have a break out of that move, with that break, I'm pretty sure it's going to end up being a little bit of a retest. So I wouldn't look at being able to jump in as of yet. If you're going to look at scalping it, once again, if you're gonna make a move like this, this will end up being a for me, it'll probably end up being a 1% trade. But the question is, where would it go? If it's going to go, it's probably going to end up going up to at least right here. It'll probably go up to at least right there. But I'm not chasing this just because it ended up making so big of a move. And essentially what's happening is that we can start to see sellers starting to be able to push it back inside of this area. It's going to have to truly prove it before I end up being interested in being able to make a move off of that one. So I'm going to hold off. Are there any other trades that y'all interested in being able to take a look at? For the people that are still here, is there any other trades that the people are still interested in looking at? Took a loss on US 30 based off of that movement at 30,011, got out at 33,060. Not mad at that at all. Exactly what I end up saying. If it end up retesting that zone real quick, then there's no reason to stay in it. We see that Nas is going against obviously Nas right now it's above the moving average, but is it above the down chain trend? Let's see. I'm going to wait on this one. Been watching Australia, United States dollar, New Zealand, United States dollar because the Chinese market collapsed. Okay, let's take a look at it real quick. I think that this is going to retest. I truly believe that it probably will. So I'm just going to wait on that. with Smart Trader real quick. Okay, Australian dollar, United States dollar. From a weekly perspective, talked about this for a little bit. We ended up talking about how the market was in consolidation for a long time. So let me clear the screen and we'll start all over again. All right, so what ended up happening was that, at least from looking at it, what's my ABCD tool? Okay, there we go. Here goes your A, here goes your B, here goes your C. Went all the way up to the 618. The extension is down here. What ended up being at 66,200. Currently, the market is at 69 or 66.20. Currently, the market is at 69.062. It fell all the way down to, from a weekly perspective, the low was at 66.80. So it still wouldn't be a part of that 5% rule, but I am starting to see a counter trend line break that is starting to form right here from a weekly perspective. So if we go to the daily, we can clearly see that the market is bearish. So we will look at it from that standpoint. From a daily perspective, we can see that there goes the counter trend line break. Remember, whenever there's a breakout, then there will typically end up being a retest. Because the market is in a buy zone, I would personally not be interested in being able to take a sell trade. That's me personally, because it's not aligned when it comes down to that move. What happened to the DX? What happened to the DXY right now? But I'll take a look at it real quick. But if it's anything like what was shown with SPY, it probably failed. But we'll take a look at it real quick. So taking a look at a retest on this move first before being able to make it, I expect that what's probably going to happen is this: since it did this, it'll probably go break, retest, probably match up with somewhere around this zone right here, and then after that, if it's going to fall, it'll fall from there. But because the market is in the buy zone, you're talking about maybe 7 to 11 days of overall movement before the market actually ends up making its move. So currently, right now, Australian dollar, United States dollar wouldn't do anything with. Let's take a look at New Zealand dollar, United States dollar. And if you like what I'm doing right now, please make sure that you end up clicking on that boost button. And also, if you're interested in being able to learn a little bit more about what I end up doing on an everyday basis for with manual trading and for with my automation systems that I end up having, and being able to help people out when it comes down to that, you can go to cartercalcapital.com/start here. Or you can just send me a message, because most everybody in here is pretty much a friend. So you can send me a private message and we can set up a time to be able to talk. Um, all right, so from a weekly perspective, we talked about how this one was in the push zone. This one has completed the D extension for that movement at 61.020 or 02. So that movement is done. Currently, right now, we're looking for a new fib to be able to work off of. We do have a fractal low to be able to work with. So I don't know why the custom fibs did not place in. Let's see. Fibonacci's. It was a new ABCD. Market went up to the 382, so the market is considered to be healthy. I would say between the Australian dollar, between the Aussie US and the New Zealand dollar, United States dollar, the better trade to be able to take a look at will probably end up being this one. It will probably end up being New Zealand dollar, United States dollar. Now the problem is that when I look at it on the daily is going to end up being in the buy zone, which means that you're going to have to still wait a little bit. Yep, there it is. You're still going to have to wait a little bit to be able to make that move. But there is a true counter trend line break, which ended up happening right here. Remember, whenever it's a breakout, typically they end up being a retest. So I'm going to look at that retest. I will probably end up focusing in on this high right here for the market to be able to push back up to. If it does push back up to that or somewhere close to it, then you have a better chance of being able to see this market have a stronger sail to the downside when it comes down to that push. I would not jump into it today. I will keep my eyes on it. Remember, because the market is in the buy zone, you're talking about 7 to 11 candlesticks. So in this case, it'd be 7 to 11 days of overall bullish movement or sideways movement before falling. So both of those pairs I would not take a trade off of. but I would be interested in being able to take a look at them in the future. All right, there we go. That's the main reason why I didn't want to focus in on Nas and trying to jump into it. Obviously, I believe that the market is still bearish, but we got to see this market kind of build up in consolidation. And the build up in consolidation is probably going to happen over the course of the next 2 to 3 days. So I hope that it stays inside of this area and we'll just be a little bit more patient on where this market actually ends up going. Now, keep in mind, talk about high volume nodes, and I'm going to get to DXY in a second. But if you end up taking a look at the high volume node starts right here, which means that if we truly want to be conservative about this movement, we go to the highs of that before end up taking a trade. So we can see where the resistance is. We can see where all these candles where sellers basically end up rejecting the price over in there. That is at 12,968. So now the buy trade, I wouldn't even consider at least until 12,970 before being able to make a move. The sell trade, I would still consider being able to get in right around 860 or just being a little bit more patient right around 840, 12,840. And then after that, you have a better chance of being able to make that sell trade. Okay, so Nas is done for today, at least until it breaks out of this consolidation area. We can see the same thing happening with US 30. You can see the same thing happening with DAX. So there's no trade to be able to take on index pairs right now at this point. Let's go ahead and take a look at DXY. Type in a wire, yes, if that makes sense. Just want to make sure everybody kind of understands where I'm coming from, what I end up doing from. There it is. Yep. That's exactly what happened. You can see it on SPY. You can see it on SPY that the market was going to end up falling. I seen it. Somebody brought that to my attention last week of what was happening with SPY. The weekly and the daily were in the sell zone. And when you have that happen, that's something called a transition trade. I don't know if anybody is familiar with a transition trade, but when the weekly and the daily are in the sell zone and they're masked up at the same area, then that's when you're going to end up seeing strong volume to the downside. And that first initial push is typically the best one. And then after that, that second push, you can be able to manage off of being able to see that movement over time. But let's talk about what's happening from a weekly perspective. So obviously everybody can be able to see consolidation breakout when we come to this movement. Currently, the market right now is at a point to where it's at an all-time high or a future high price. So my thing would be that I would not look at being able to buy on a future high price. Yeah. Yes, still got 120 to make today for my gold though. Okay, there we go. Nice. There we go. Keep on doing what you're doing. Um, from a weekly perspective, I can see that there's a double top that end up happening right here. Obviously, if you put a horizontal line right here at the top of this price and the top of that price, both of them rejected off at the same price, so 108.87. From there, the question is it going to push up or it's just going to be the rejection point? So from that, you go to the daily, we can clearly see that the market has started to build up. The market had its free rate run spot. We end up talking about that. Then after that, it's showing a little bit of consolidation from here. Now, there's really no high volume node to work off of. We just have this overall spot. So we have to go to the 15-minute to take a look at that. But that is clearly a double top. You got this point right here, rejection, that point right there. This candlestick remains to be the same for today. You will see that this market will start to be able to push. Typically, what people end up saying is that you want to sit up there and sell at the neckline of that. I don't believe in that statement. That means that you're giving up too much. I would say take a look at the 15 minutes, see if you can be able to get in based off of movement from there, because we know that the market has a better chance of being able to fall. We can see that the daily's in the sell zone. We can see that the weekly is in the buy zone. Go figure. But I would go back to what's happening currently. Currently, I would say that the market is going down. All right, so from a 15-minute perspective, let's see what's happening. If y'all mind, let me show you why I believe in this strategy so much. One, I'm just gonna break it down just like this, and I'll be very quick. High volume node. High volume node leads to consolidation. So quick rule, and I want everybody inside of this live stream room to be able to say this one statement over and over again. I will not trade inside of a high volume node. High volume nodes give less than 30% chances of being able to win. So the true statement is I will not trade inside of a high volume node ever anymore. The reason why I say that is because that there's no reason to trade inside of this little gap when you can be able to trade inside of this freeway space, which is this space from this area right there to that area right there, and be in it less than a day and be able to make way more than what people end up making trying to fight inside of that consolidation area. So there goes your freeway space right there. After that, we end up having a medium volume node right here. Once you have a medium volume node, just like what a high volume node, you end up seeing consolidation. Once this market ends up breaking consolidation, you end up having this low volume node of unfair market prices from here to here. So you would have took that order from there to there. Quite frankly, you wouldn't really have to worry about anything. The market pushed up, basically got you into profit very quickly. Then after that, started to build another consolidation area. From here, really and truthfully, this area actually ended up having a freeway run area all the way up to there before starting to build out another consolidation. Consolidation right here. Here goes your support. Here goes your resistance. You can see it based off of this high volume node. Could you explain correlation between dollar index and U.S. indices? Yes, I will. Just take my phone. Just take my phone because you're gonna bother me, and you're gonna keep on doing it until you get what you want. There you go. There you go. Go upstairs. Upstairs. Go. 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 High volume node. We end up seeing this unfair market prices from here to here. That would have been trade one. From here to here, that would have been trade two. You notice went right up here, freeway area consolidation again, freeway area again. And remember, the only thing that you're trying to do, really and truthfully, in this strategy, more than anything else, is that you're not trying to trade inside of the high volume nodes, and all you're trying to do is be able to locate where the low volume nodes are and be able to place in your pending orders and be able to place your trade from where the low volume node starts to the next high volume node. And you want to get out of it before the next high volume node starts. And you keep on doing that over and over and over again. What you end up finding out is that you're going to end up having way more freedom when it comes down to the trades and know when to be able to get out of, know when to be able to stay out of bad situations. Because that's all it is. You're just staying out of bad situations. High volume nodes are nothing more than bad situations than the 33% trades from people that are not really paying attention to what's actually happening in the market. Some people love trading in consolidation. I cannot stand it. So there you go. High volume node. And literally right from here, we can see it now. Market went inside of this high volume node area right here, or market was in this high volume node area right there. Once it ended up breaking past this low area, your freeway space was from here to here. However, if you look at how big this high volume node was, the true take profit will be right there. That's the reason why I'm thinking that you're probably starting to see a lot of people start to get out when it comes down to this position. So what will probably end up happening is that you have here to here, the market will probably build up into some type of consolidation because it matches up with what ended up happening previously, which was right there. And we'll probably see a little bit of consolidation before the next trade will end up being from here to here, which would be trade one, and from there to there, which would be trade two. Typing a while, yes, that makes sense. I know it's very brief, and I hold classes on this all the time, but just want to make sure that everybody can kind of understand that from the most part. And then after that, I answer that indice question. It's always good to be able to know how to be able to do this yourself. But obviously, being able to, being able to make money yourself, but being able to teach people sometimes is always, it's almost even more rewarding. All right, so I'll talk about correlation between the dollar index and U.S. indices. Okay, so if you take a look at what's happening with, typically when I start trading, I always go to three pairs in particular. They're called the big three for me. I end up taking a look at what happens with U.S. oil. End up taking a look at what's happening with the U.S. dollar index. And then after that, I end up taking a look at what's happening with gold. Now, I'm going to break that down on the forex perspective. And then after that, I start talking about how that kind of goes in between with U.S. indices. When you end up taking a look at it from a forex perspective, gold has a correlation with the Japanese yen and the Australian dollar. So if the market is going down, then that means that more than likely what will happen is, obviously because it has a crossover, the United States dollar will end up being strong. If the market goes up on gold, then more than likely what you'll see is the Japanese yen and the Australian dollar end up getting stronger when it comes down to movements overall. That is one thing that I pay attention to. While I'm talking right now, you might want to get your eyes back on to Nas because it may end up being a push. We can see that the market kind of rejected this portion right here, so it may end up being one of those things that you may not necessarily want to put a lot on, but you might want to put something on it if it does break. That's if it does break. It's starting to break now. I'm gonna go ahead and take an order on it, just for the sake of being able to prove a point. Take profit will end up being at 13,031 or 13,030. Stop loss, I'm going to put it below the point of control, 13,915 or 12,915. I'm in on that order right now. Risk for me, let's see. I want to pull this up on the screen. It would be nice if I could do it on the screen. Long position. I just took a position right at the breakout area. I'll look at being able to get out at 13,030. Stop loss will end up being just below the point of control at 12,009. I have it at 12,915. Now, the risk reward factor is a 1 to 1.3. It's not necessarily the greatest risk reward factor. So go back to what I ended up saying before. If it breaks back inside of consolidation, just go ahead and exit off the trade. There's nothing, really no problem with being able to exit out of the trade on that point. But I do think that it probably may end up hitting that. So there we go. We do have an order for today, based off of that position. Currently, right now, I got my $56 back that I end up losing out for the Nas trade. And we can start to see that the other ones may end up starting to make that move. So you may want to start getting prepared for those trades as well. But as we go through and take a look at this, obviously gold has a correlation with the Japanese yen and the Australian dollar. Take a look at what's happening with oil. Oil has a correlation with the Canadian dollar. So if oil prices end up going up, then that means that the Canadian dollar is going to end up going up in value and everything else. If it goes down, then obviously it go down in value when it comes down to that crossover. And then from there, you end up taking a look at the United States dollar index. The United States dollar index is basically saying what's happening with all U.S. dollar pairs and everything else like that. So if this pushes up bullish, then typically what you end up seeing is that the market is going to end up being bullish on U.S. dollar pairs. But how that kind of correlates with the United States dollar indexes is that if this typically goes up, then the indexes typically go down. So if you end up seeing the United States dollar gain in value, then what you end up seeing is because of the value of the dollar, you want to set up in lower prices so where you can be able to get more value off of it. You would typically end up seeing that the market is actually going down on most pairs when that actually happens, like with US 30 and NAS 100 and everything else like that. So hopefully that answers the question. The one that I typically see it the most on is actually XPX 500. XPX 500 moves a little too slow for me, so I like trading US 30 NAS 100 in German 40. But there are some times that I end up taking a look at XPX 500 to be able to take trades. But simple correlation is that if the United States dollar index is going up, then typically you'll see that the indexes are going down. In most cases. Any other questions before we get out of here? We end up taking a trade on NAS 100 currently right now. You end up getting in right at the price that I end up getting in. I got in at 12,972. Currently the market is at 12,990. Hopefully it can be able to push up to 13,030. And that'll be a quick and simple trade. Now, if I'm being very honest, this is a larger high volume node, so this market could go up a little bit higher. It wouldn't surprise me that if this market, let's say for some reason we end up having a strong rally of a day, it could go all the way back up to our starting point where we end up getting into that trade at, which would be at 13,340. But to me, I think that this is just a little bit of a U-turn, so I'm just going to go ahead and take the little bit of a U-turn price to be able to get out of it. I get out at the medium volume node. If it breaks above that, then after that, I take a look at taking a trade again from there. If there's no other questions, if anybody doesn't have anything else like that, I appreciate everybody being able to pop in and being able to go and being able to obviously trade with me and do everything else like that. We only have one trade. Well, we had two trades. We ended up getting out of the not US 30 trade real quick. But hopefully you end up getting some of that back when it came down to NAS. And hopefully it does go up to 13,330. It's very close. Once again, that would be a scalp more than anything else. You do this every weekday. I try to. And well, I try to for the most part. But I will say this, I will be off. I probably won't be here tomorrow, and I probably won't be here for the rest of the week. Me and my wife are expecting our third child, and the due date is actually tomorrow. So I wanted to make sure I can be able to talk to everybody, especially people that come through a lot, to at least be able to help them out on the Friday trades that we end up having. But obviously, if baby girl comes, then I'm not going to be here. I think everybody kind of understand that. But overall, if you like what I end up doing, make sure you end up clicking on that like button, click on that boost button to be able to go from there. Check out my other social media pages that I end up having. And like always, plan your trade your plan. Everyone, I'll see you in the next video, like always. And we'll go from there. All right, everybody, take it easy.